morning, Honorable Raksha Rajamantri Ji, Dr. Subhash Bhamre, Honorable Dr. Tessie Thomas, who's invited me here. Thank you, ma'am. It's a privilege to be at RCI, and it's a privilege to meet all the wonderful scientists and the extraordinary minds in this room. Satish Reddy Garu has been a dear friend and he's been a great supporter. Thank you, Satish Garu, for being there for us whenever we needed you. Dr. Christopher, you broke a stereotype for me. I had no idea that scientists had such great sense of humor, so thank you very much, sir. Lieutenant General Satish Juaji, that was a surgical strike. Well done, sir. Smita Garu, Dr. Alka Suri, and to all the wonderful men and women, warm greeting on International Women's Day. I'm not going to be as politically correct as I normally try to be in any other function. And I'm going to be a little blunt, and I might even get some flack tomorrow morning in the papers and the press, but Women's Day, International Women's Day. So we've heard Smita speak, we've heard Dr. Tessie, we've heard Dr. Christopher, some really amazing things. In fact, I was telling Smita that if she continues to speak like this, a lot of us politicians would be out of our jobs, so we have to be very careful. So what can I say about women? What do I know about women? Well, like Dr. Christopher, I have some very strong women in my life too. My mother, of course, who brought me up and who made me what I am today. In fact, because my father was always away and he was busy with public life, obviously, spending a lot of time. So my mother is the person who actually made me what I am, so all thanks to her. And then there are my sister, my wife, my daughter, many of my friends, who all shaped me into what I am as an individual. But if I were to say one thing on this Women's Day, I would say women. Now, if that is a purely a man's perspective, please don't get me wrong on this. Women, we can't live with you, we can't live without you. That's the problem. That's the problem and the good thing also. So it's an interesting kind of perspective. Since this morning, normally on any given day, especially if it's an occasion, we receive a lot of messages. I'm sure so did most of you. We're all addicted to social media. We're all addicted to multiple channels of communication, multiple technologies that have come out and made our life miserable. SMSs, WhatsApps, emails, Twitters, Facebooks. So I think like most of you, I have also received numerous messages, all once again reiterating and reinforcing the stereotype of women, calling you a mother, a wife, a sister, a daughter, a friend. Agreed, you're all that. But everything is reinforcing that stereotype once again. Everything reinforces. In fact, some have even gone to the extent of saying women are worshipped in India, and India is the only country where women are worshipped. And then it goes on and on. If I have to put it in Telugu, there was even a message which said, Srushti ki moolam. You're the cornerstone, you're the pillar, you're the everything that defines this creation, is what was also said. Yes, I agree with all of that. But the reality of the matter is, if you look around, yes, we would like to believe that India is a country where women are worshipped. India is probably the only country where women are worshipped, is what we would like to believe. But if you look around, take a look at the reality of what it is. Are women wanting to be worshipped in India today? Are women really wanting to be worshipped anywhere? I think women are wanting to be treated equally. I think women are wanting respect, not worship. I think women are wanting to be treated based on competence, based on leadership abilities, and not wanting to conform to gender stereotypes. Saying, I am a person, I am an individual. My gender, I could be a man, I could be a woman, that's a different story. But I have all the abilities and maybe more than what you have. I think that is what we have to be thinking about today. Yes, it is all good to be talking about all these roles that women play, all this multitasking you guys do. In fact, if I have to quote somebody, I think it was the Iron Lady, Margaret Thatcher, who said, in politics, because I am a politician, in politics, if you want something said, if you want anything said, ask a man. But if you want something done, ask a woman. That's what she said. That's probably why our Honorable Chief Minister took it seriously, and he has 3 very strong women officers in his own Chief Minister's office also. Very strong All India service officers who do an excellent, a tremendous job, better than most of us, in fact. To celebrate a Women's Day like we are doing today, as a symbol, as a symbolism towards women empowerment is good. But to not think of all the deep-rooted prejudices, to not address the so-called, the perceived male superiority in our patriarchal society, without addressing the real issues, without really going right to the root of the problem, without really going right to the deep-rooted prejudices, I call it, we are not going to be changing much unless you address those realities. Because yes, symbolism is good, these sort of gestures are good. To celebrate one day in 365 days as Women's Day is also good. But unless you address these deep-rooted prejudices, unless we talk to our children, because in fact Telangana started doing something right on that note. We're the first Indian state today in the Indian Union to have started gender-based education right from the primary school level. I think that's important. To cultivate this sort of awareness, to cultivate respect towards one another, irrespective of whether you are a male or a female. Try and respecting each other's abilities, each other's qualities, each other's traits as human beings, fellow human beings. I think that's far more important. As I've said, what are we wanting? We're wanting a level playing field. We're also wanting respect and competence which sees beyond the larger stereotype of gender. In fact, if we really want to celebrate Women's Day, we must celebrate Women's Day. We should celebrate it by breaking the stereotypes, by moving away from expectations, from idolization, from symbolism, and from sacrifice. What do I mean? Like I said, I've received numerous messages. In fact, I think I've heard one of the speakers also say, my wife is a secret behind, is a secret of my success, was also mentioned. I think we should stop congratulating women on being somebody else's support system, for being responsible for their success. I think we should start saluting them as for their own individuality, for their own success, for their own achievements in their own right. And secondly, we keep saying, every Mother's Day we receive messages which says, our mother is so sacred because she sacrifices so much. Yes, she does, without a question, without a doubt. But I think we should start moving beyond that. Let's actually try and reduce those sacrifices that she makes for us. Let's work towards ensuring that she reduces in terms of the number of sacrifices, in terms of the number of things that she has to do for us. We should stop telling women that they're beautiful. They are, of course. They are the better halves, if you look at it, in terms of the overall human beings in the entire world and that planet. They are definitely the better halves. They're the better half of human beings, in fact, if you ask me. But also, it's also equally important to understand that being beautiful is not the only thing. Because women are equated with beauty, and therefore, that stereotype, again, conforming them to, only superficial and peripheral kind of stereotypes again. Let's stop praising the role of a woman as a mother, as a wife, as a daughter, as a sister. All of these supportive roles, which reinforce again the stereotypes. Try and conform her to one of these supportive roles. Let us start celebrating her as an individual. Let us start celebrating her as an independent, independent of all her relationships and all the supportive roles that she also plays. But above all, I think if we really have to ensure, as was said earlier, if we really have to ensure that most of our children, irrespective of whether they're boys or girls, they have to raise above their potential, they have to raise to their potential, in fact, and do much more than what they can, what they've been told that they can do. Then we have to stop making these constructs, which are developed from a very, very self-serving and a very, very convenient male perspective, which push her, in fact, which push her to strive the impossible work-life balance, which none of the males can achieve, like, which was pointed out earlier, that most of the men apparently get some leisure time. Why is that women don't get it? Because we push them into that stereotype where they are expected to multitask, where they're expected to do that work-life balance, which is extremely difficult, which no man has been able to achieve. So therefore, I think, I'm going to be, like I said, politically incorrect, but long way to go. I think we talk about India, we talk about Indira Gandhi, we talk about several leaders who have led our nation. And we also sometimes lament that most advanced or most developed nations like the United States have not been able to elect a women president. Yes, these sort of symbols, these sort of token gestures are good to talk about, to debate whether they're evolved, whether they're not evolved. But the fact of the matter is, I think these symbolic gestures, these symbolic functions, these symbolic commemorations are good. But at the end of the day, unless we work day in and day out, not on one day in 365 days, but day in and day out to redefine, to not push women into these stereotypes, I think then we would be doing them a great service. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Dr. Sophie Thomas, Dr. Satish Shetty, to all the wonderful people who have gathered here. Thank you.